Good morning and welcome to
Uh,
Graybeard. My name is Wayne. There's Ernie, aka Bug. This
what's going on?
this one was younger day.
AKA
That's
Bug.
Bug. I don't know. What'd you say? Your grandma
I
gave
give
me
you the history of that one of these days.
one of these days. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I did have
Yeah, it was my grandma.
topic today.
You exposed me.
Again, I'm getting your internet connection is unstable. I don't understand that. Why it's saying that. Dang computers, you know. I
What is
don't
it?
understand it. Oh man.
Goddamn computers, man. They trying to shut down cartoons.
Yeah, so our topic today we're gonna talk about cartoons. Way our stuff is working right now. We've tried this once before and it didn't quite work, so we're gonna try again. Ernie's got his little background
Yeah.
going on there. Uh, I loved cartoons back in the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
That
Move
was
my head over.
that Saturday morning love, man. I was like, we had. Well, of course, I was a big fan of the Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner show on Saturdays. That's probably my go-to thing, as we
Yeah.
talked about before. I know taking questions. What about your favorite? I mean, obviously, I know kind of know what, your favorite, but tell the audience what your favorite.
Yeah. We talked about it. I like Space Ghost. Yeah, Space Ghost, Johnny Quest, Herculoids, more of intense type cartoons. I did enjoy Bugs Bunny like you, the Jetsons and all that good stuff.
Mhm.
But being that we're talking about cartoons, what you think, I never really did a deep dive like how cartoons was like introduced into our society and why were they introduced. You and I kind of briefly spoke about this earlier last week, and you was like, "Hey, it was to get the parents a break from the kids."
Yeah, I always
You know
kind
what I'm
of
saying?
need
But
to
I think
think
it was a little
about
bit
that.
more.
Yeah,
Uh,
my
see, we
dog.
got another guest.
Yeah, she, she has a
Yeah,
whatever wherever well, if her mom is around, it's a whole different thing. But that's Penny,
yeah,
my baby. Good
yeah.
dog. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah, I think it was to give them a break. You know what I mean? I think that parents on a might have had, my at least from my experience, my parents, we would go to bed. We had bedtime, man. It was like you go to bed unless we were not home.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
Bedtime was bedtime. There was no arguing. There was no discussion about bedtime. But I'd wake up in the morning. I could see, my parents would have the Monopoly game out, and they would play with, they'd have
Hmm.
somebody over. We're in bed, 8, 9 o'clock, whatever it was. I don't remember what time it was. Um, but there's not a lot to do, where I grew up in wintertime, unless you were out shoveling snow. Back in them days, we had
Hmm.
um, a lot of snow outside. So, you weren't outside rambling around. There wasn't, going to picnics or anything at 9 o'clock. They didn't have money to go to a
Yeah.
bar or anything. So, they would tie one on
Hmm.
maybe. And my parents weren't big drinkers that I remember. But
Hmm.
yeah, so they would sleep in on Saturday
Yeah.
morning and we would be up 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, whatever, because we knew the cartoons you know, were coming out.
Man, 6 a.m. I
Hmm.
was up. My mom used to complain. She was like, "You can get up for these cartoons,
But you
but
can't
you
get up
can't
for
get up to
school.
go to school." Yeah, yeah. I guess she heard the same thing. She was like,
Mm.
"You can't get up and go to school." And so uh every Saturday morning I would get up, I would wake my two younger brothers up. I would simply say, cartoons on. They'll hop out of bed. We'll go from the bedroom to the living room, flip the one of three channels on, and just start watching cartoons and go in and out of sleep until our favorite cartoon came on. But we love to watch cartoons, man. It was just something about cartoons that we just love.
Oh yeah.
And
Well, they
like
were
we was
funny. They
talking
were
about
entertaining.
earlier, go ahead.
I mean, it was
What's
just they
that?
were funny. They were entertaining. It's just like And there was some innovation in there, you know. He was like, you know, when you see this
Hmm.
superheroes doing this kind of stuff, it'd be like, you know, or yeah, is that Herculoids? And gone, right?
Like,
He's got
and
that
we
swing.
never questioned cartoons, man. Like they could just fly, or they could
Yeah.
just shoot beams of power out of their eyes, out of a club, out of the
Hmm.
hand, and
Yeah.
we understood. We could, we could somehow we could relate to what was going on. No science behind this. No question that hey, these dudes can fly. You know what I'm saying? What caused them to fly? What power could a cartoon fly? You know what I'm saying?
Wow, that's a
But yet we just accept it as a reality.
yeah,
You know,
magic of, you know, cartoon magic, I guess. You know, we never this would, you know, we watched it. I'd watch it, be like, "Oh, that's possible." I guess, man, why can't I fly? You know, I want to be able to do that. You know, I wish I had,
hey,
you know, super.
sometimes we tried to fly.
Yeah, I always found out, you know, one thing about cartoons is that,
You would wrap that towel around your neck and jump.
yeah, but I mean, one thing about cartoons, I was, you know, excuse me, a lot of fantasy characters, whatever, the Herculoids, and it always baffled me that they have these superpowers. It was like, but they're running around in a loincloth. I don't get it. That,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? That's just weird to me.
Yeah.
You know, is that I mean, I like the Herculoids. I thought my favorite is the rhino that's playing in the back there. He had like 16 legs or something, and he moved really weird, you know, sort of like a centipede. I was like, who thought that
It
was a
made
good
a
idea? Who
it
thought that
made
was a good
sense.
idea? But he couldn't jump, you know. He had to have a,
It,
know,
yeah, yeah. He was basically a track, right?
like a,
From
I
the
guess
animal
they figured
kingdom.
it was that make him tank like, but he couldn't climb you know, uh
Yeah.
I don't need to climb. I can shoot this little rock,
And
exploding
the
rock out my
cartoons,
nose or whatever.
mhm. Let me ask you, we're gonna go through a couple of cartoons and tell me what you think about it. Let's say like Scooby Doo. Scooby was that one of the cartoons you used to watch growing up?
Oh, definitely.
The mystery van.
Mhm. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
What's your take on Scooby Doo?
well, I mean, it's like I have to laugh. I thought it was entertaining. That's about it.
Yeah,
I did,
yeah.
you know,
All
looking
right,
back on him, what I think of him
let's look
now
at
and
what's
what I
going on.
thought of him then, there's two different things, right? You know, because you know
Right.
we've matured in life. What I thought about them there was like, oh wow, this is cool. It's like, you know, yeah, you know, anybody could be a detective, you know, and a talking dog. All right, for we, you know, whatever, dab, whatever.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I I enjoyed it,
All
but
right.
at some point
What
you
what
go
age group?
the age group. What do you
Go
mean?
ahead. I was gonna ask you what age group were the characters in Scooby Doo? How did you imagine them? Were they teenagers? Were they young adults? Were they in their 20s, 30s? What did you think about the characters?
I it's again. Then I was like, oh, cool. And, you know, I thought of them as adults. You know, as a child, I thought they were adults, which they're, they
Oh,
always refer to them meddling kids. Would have gotten away with it if it wasn't for you meddling kids, whatever. Right? That's was kind of
Dastardly kids.
yeah. You know, always meddling. You know, they meddled in
Mhm.
their affairs. You know, I like I said, as a child, and when I watched them, I thought they were adults. You know, but reality is
Mhm.
that they were teenagers. Some they had some detect. I
Yeah.
mean, I think they just did that.
Yeah. And that's what I thought.
But go ahead.
and
Yeah.
they drove around unchecked. You know what I'm saying?
Um,
Where were their parents?
mm,
Where did they get money to gas the mystery van? You know what I'm saying? Um,
good question.
where did they get the information? Were they just coming up on? Were they just randomly coming up on these what you want to call it? These mysteries or whatever, and just decided to solve them? You know, we
Well,
never really questioned it. You know,
yeah,
it
we
was just
didn't
like
care. It was just
we
that's
got
what
these
it
guys. It
was.
looked like a good time.
But looking back at it,
Yeah,
as an adult now, going, you different. You're like, what? This is ridiculous. You
yeah.
know, mass technology back then
But
wasn't
we love to watch it.
that good. It's like, okay, this looks like a regular You take the mask off, hmm.
Yeah. And in most of the cases, that's what it was. It was some human
Yeah,
trying to scare somebody off of this land, off of this property, so they can have, own it or have some advantage, find the treasure, the gold, or whatever it was.
mhm. Oh, absolutely. It was,
What about your
they were
favorite,
doing good
Bugs Bunny?
things. They're doing good things, but it was like, at some point you would be like, are they trapped? Where do they live that they're finding all this stuff? Where is all these
They-
criminals have been always scamming
they-
people? No, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the trying to figure out from the beginning who the bad guy was, really as I watched it more as I got older,
Mhm.
because I was always like, that's the bad guy, you know. Um, because they become so
Yeah,
predictable. The problem I had with Scooby Doo and them, it
yeah.
just became predictable, right? And that's the problem I have with like a lot of
Hmm.
these crime shows, even today,
Hmm.
right? Someone got
Hmm.
killed, you know, the
Hmm.
the investigative team comes in, they do
Yeah.
a couple little their magic voodoo stuff and figure out, what happened, who did it, how they died, what have you, and then at the end they find somebody. And again, and it's over. It's like they're all the
Yeah.
same. I try to tell that to my dad. He loves CSI, NCIS. I don't know which NCIS or
Yeah.
which CSI
He's
thing.
deep into
He
that.
loves them all. And I get that. I grew
Hmm.
up on the crime drama television, which could be a whole nother thing we could talk about, from Columbo to Quincy, or Jim Rockford, the Rockford Files.
Hey, let's test your Scooby Doo vocabulary.
Scooby Doo
I'm gonna give you a
vocabulary.
word. I
Oh
want you to
no. I
define it.
didn't know there was going to be a
Yeah.
test. Come
Here we.
on. All right.
Hey, this is one question test. Here
Mm-hmm.
we go. Zoinks.
Zoink. That would be, what was his name? Shit, I can't even think of his name. I know who said it.
What?
It wasn't, it was the, what is his name? It'll come to me. It'll just pop
Shaggy?
in. Huh? Shaggy. Yeah.
I
Shaggy.
think they all said it at some point. Yeah,
Yeah, but
Shaggy definitely
he
with it.
was known
Yeah.
more to say that. Yeah. Zoink. Zoink. Yeah. It kind of good,
What did it mean? Okay. What did it mean?
is like, I don't know. It
Put
seems
you on
like
the spot.
was it like a surprise thing for him that he was surprised or scared
Yeah,
or whatever? Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly what it was. He
Yeah.
was surprised.
Yeah.
You know,
Uh, I was surprised he could walk and chew gum at the same time, to be honest with you. And I didn't like
yeah,
really
Shaggy was
how,
funny.
as an adult now watching him, I don't like how they made him out to be stupid, right? Like a pothead or
Hmm.
something. This dude does drugs. It's really when you see him, this he's that's what I see when I see that character, right? And then you had the
Yeah.
um who was the blonde headed dude? What is his name? I can't even think of his name.
Oh, well, I can't think of his name. He was the leader though.
Yeah,
Kind of a
Fred.
rich cat. He
Was
had a
wasn't it
Fred.
Fred?
Yeah, it was Fred.
Fred. They made him out to be
Yeah,
the muscle, the athletic dude, but not too bright. But
yeah.
you know,
Blonde hair. He had that little scarf tied around his neck.
yeah, like he was some, well-to-do. He probably was the financier of the, you know,
Hmm.
whatever. He had the money. It was,
Daphne.
he always drove, so it was his van, And you had
Right.
Daphne, the little Polly princess or whatever, whatever she,
Yeah.
always was like a
Yeah.
good-looking one. It's almost like they took
Hmm.
kind of the Gilligan's Island theme and made a cartoon of it, right?
That's a good point. That is a good point.
Yeah.
That's probably what they did.
Yeah.
Because and then you had the girl with the short hair. I can't
Mm-hmm.
think of her name. And she was smart. She was the smart one.
Velma. She was
Velma, yeah. She wore the
Velma,
glasses.
whatever.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. It was kind of that whole concept, you got the goofy guy, which was Shaggy, the kind of the
Mhm.
sidekick goofball. But he was the
Yeah.
handler for the main character, Scooby Doo, basically the
Yeah.
handler, but he was portrayed as an idiot. I didn't want this to, I'm not the, we could talk about all the, cartoon stuff all day long, but it
Yeah.
all comes down to the same, crap, But I don't want to
Yeah.
spend any more of our time talking about Scooby Doo, which is,
Yeah, we move on.
yeah.
But the impact of cartoons on our society. What you think?
On society is,
Yeah. Western society.
I think they were just a babysitter, man. I don't think there was, I think they put too much now on the, violence in cartoons that I never, you take Yosemite Sam, the rootinest, tootinest, shootinest, and he was always
Hmm.
shooting, but you never really saw him kill anybody, right?
Hmm.
You never seen the thing, and they were like, some egghead somewhere decided, well, that's, you're teaching children violence, right? Um, I don't agree with that. I
But, I
that's a
think the
thing.
cartoons, like when we was growing up, it was always good versus evil, right? That's what it seemed like the theme was.
For the
The
most
bad
part,
versus
yeah.
good. I mean, it was for the most part, even with the Coyote and Roadrunner. You know what I'm saying? Coyote was the villain, right? I mean,
He was
was he a
hungry.
villain? He just was trying to get some. He was just
Yeah,
trying to get some
yeah.
food.
He was hungry.
Yeah, but because he wanted to eat the Roadrunner, I guess we kind of saw him as a villain.
Some did,
And
yeah. Sure, you could see him that way. I
yeah,
thought he was, I always, per- I looked at it the other way that the Roadrunner was the protagonist or and antagonist, not protagonist, antagonist.
antagonist.
Always
Yeah,
like nana nana boo boo, you can't catch me, you know,
true.
kind of
There's
thing.
something to that.
So
Yeah.
they egged him on. Maybe that's why.
Hmm.
Maybe the coyote killed himself.
Yeah.
Because
Now
he was
there was this
bullied
one
by the
episode.
Roadrunner. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's one way
There
to
was this
look
one
at it.
episode
Different
where
way.
the Coyote did catch the Roadrunner. Um, he took
He
these
caught him a
pills,
couple
right?
times, but he messed up instead of, he had him dead to rights in a couple, but he never could
Freaking
follow.
Acme Click, the Acme
You froze up.
company. You know what I'm saying? That's where he bought all his devices for. One of those devices would activate and hit him,
Hmm.
and he would wind up letting the Roadrunner go, or the Roadrunner would escape. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah. Hmm.
So yeah. So my personal favorite, like I mentioned it earlier, um, Johnny Quest.
I loved
Johnny
it. I
Quest.
never really got to see Johnny Quest for a lot of them that I remember. I have seen a lot of them, but I don't remember like
Yeah.
like uh,
Yeah.
that was early, early. I
The
don't
only
know when
villain
it
I can really
ran originally. I'd have to look that up, but they were more early
Mhm.
70s. So, you know, I think
Yeah.
maybe late 60s, to be honest with you, when Johnny Quest was
Mhm.
um,
Mhm.
more prominent, but yeah, and I was very
Mhm.
young. You're a
You
few months older than I am, so maybe you have better
that's
recollection,
right.
you know,
Don't
because
forget.
Well, that's because you're a boomer by 2 months, 3 months, whatever, and I'm a Gen X by a couple month and a half when it started.
Yeah,
So, uh,
yeah. And your dad is older than my dad, but it's just weird like that. It's crazy.
yeah,
But
well,
anyway, we won't get off into that. But I think cartoons I think they had a real impact on our society, man. I think it enhanced ingenuity. You know what I'm saying?
oh,
It,
definitely,
it
yeah.
created dreams. I mean, I think Western society is built on that. You know what I'm saying? You think it, you can do it. You know, creativity. You know, I think a lot of the things that we saw in the cartoons, we try to emulate, or we dreamed about them, or we drew them ourselves. You know, we imagine a future where you could pick up a device like this and talk to somebody, you know what I'm saying, that's on the other side of the world. And guess what? Can
Oh,
we
yeah.
might can attribute that to cartoons, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, you certainly could. And
Uh,
innovation and
smart
inspiration.
watches.
Yeah. They inspired people to, wow, that'd be great to
Yeah,
have like Dick Tracy.
yeah.
You know, he had that watch in the 50s, I think it was on, I want to say when Dick Tracy was, I could be wrong. Um,
Hmm.
but yeah, it definitely, you know, it give people ideas that, you know, they saw this stuff and it made them want to be able to do that, you know,
Hmm.
certain thing, you know, create something. Absolutely.
Hmm.
Um, definitely the, you know, if
Yeah.
you to touch back on, you know, what the impact cartoons had on people, good, bad, or indifferent.
Hmm.
I beg to differ
Hmm.
that cartoons had nothing to do with anybody acting poorly. It comes down to parenting, lack of parenting, the lack of teaching your children
Yeah.
right from wrong. Because you look at now,
Hmm.
they have such sanitized cartoons right now that, and you look at kids, they're still doing evil things and, you know,
Yeah.
horrific things. I don't think you can
Hmm.
trace any of these evil acts that people have done in the past to their Saturday morning cartoons ever.
Hmm.
If there is something like that, I
Right.
would love if someone put down in the comments if you think you have some link somebody that said I wanted to kill a road runner so I shot up a schoolhouse or something, you know, ain't gonna happen. Doesn't
Yeah.
exist.
Yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, if someone
Truth.
hurt themselves because of they thought that they could fly with a rocket strapped to their back, okay, whatever. You know, I don't believe
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Cartoons. Cartoons used to be a treat, right? Saturday, I mean, it was pretty much relegated to Saturday morning cartoons, right?
yeah,
And then after school, that was the timing. You come home from school, you get to watch maybe an hour, hour and a half worth of cartoons, and then they would go on to the regular scheduled programs. But now, I think they did a lot of damage to, or they lessened the impact of cartoons when they start just showing them 24/7. You know what I'm saying? Cartoons
hmm,
used to be a treat, but now
yeah.
you got cartoons on all times. They made it their Cartoon Network. I didn't really like that. I thought that was kind of took away from that treat aspect of cartoons. You know what I'm saying? You
Well, yeah,
can you can access it anytime.
yeah. It was
I
like
didn't appreciate it as
yeah.
much as I did. When it was limited. You know, 24/7 cartoons. Come on, man. That's just wrong.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's
Regardless.
well when you get too much of a good thing, you know, it'd be you know less is you know who does
Becomes a
cartoons?
no. Yeah.
Yeah, who watches cartoons anymore?
Hmm.
No, even
Exactly.
children today.
Exactly.
That maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. I mean, it
Hmm.
is. You know, we have to sit and think about. You know, um, who knows? I really don't. I mean, I'm not a psychologist or a sociologist or you know anybody that studies people that way. I'm a people watcher, but I think you're absolutely right. It takes away
Hmm.
the that makes them. They're not so special. You know,
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
mean, they were a big deal,
It's
man.
like
To me, I was
watching
like, I would
Christmas.
be. I don't know about you, but I'd be mad if I missed cartoons on Saturday. You know, because You know, we
Hey,
were
you know, hey, when they were going to the moon,
they
that
went to the
interrupted a
moon.
lot
Stop
of my
thinking they
Saturday.
did.
They
Now
when
they
they
may
went
have
when they went to the moon,
whatever, dude.
they it took them bad boys like 2 weeks. I missed like 2 weeks worth of cartoons, man,
Mhm.
because these chokers trying to land on the moon. I can't remember which moon landed it
All
was.
right, we're
It probably was the one,
we're gonna we're gonna
probably
end on
one like
we're gonna end
74.
on this right here, right? We're gonna end on your moon landing
Yeah,
conspiracy, and we'll save that for another show because we're running out of time. But I would like to say everybody that hey,
yeah.
if you liked what you
Hey,
saw, please comment, subscribe, click on the like button. Uh, Ernie and I appreciate it. Get to it. I know we're very new at this, and we're trying to figure out. We
oh
run
yeah,
some technical difficulties earlier this morning. We didn't get to talk about the electric company and Sesame Street. That's a whole nother conversation.
yeah.
Closing on you there, Ernie,
Thanks.
my brother.
Yeah. Okay. I want to end the note on that. It was good. Good just talking about cartoons, which we had more time.
Mhm.
But I want to do this for one of the guys that we work with. We was talking about superheroes, cartoons, and all this kind of stuff. And he mentioned this character called the Riddler, right? When the Riddler.
The Riddler,
So I
yeah,
want to do this in honor of my buddy, right?
yeah.
I'm gonna ask you guys a riddle, see if you can solve it. Next week when we come back, we'll give you the answer. What do you get when you cross a bat with a cat? That's the riddle. That's in honor of our cartoons. That's in honor of our good friend,
Yeah,
which we'll leave nameless for now.
yeah.
So if you guys know the answer to that, get send it in the comments. We're gonna read the comments and we may chime in on it on our next show. But it's been good, Wayne.
Yes, sir.
Going through memory lane with a few cartoons and stuff like that. Had a little theme music, theme shows in the back. So hopefully jar some memories, especially the guys of, our age.
Definitely. All right,
Yes,
y'all.
sir. So remember
Have a
the
good one.
Riddler.
Enjoy your week, man. We'll talk to
Hey, you
you
too,
next
man.
time. All right.
Yes, sir. You too.
Adios.
Bye-bye.